Right now, a bunch of really critical events are all converging, putting the entire world on, well, a very fragile edge. So let's break down exactly what's happening and why it matters so much.
The source material we're looking at today opens with a pretty stark warning. It just says, something serious is happening right now. And honestly, that is no exaggeration. We're watching multiple, totally separate crises start to crash into each other, and each one is just making the others worse.
Okay, so let's get into the details. First up, we've got a huge geopolitical flashpoint. And what we're talking about here is a ceasefire that was called at the very last second, but it is absolutely no guarantee of peace. So this is the big one, the core event that's really put the world on notice. The United States has extended a ceasefire with Iran, and this happened at the absolute last moment, pulling everyone back from the brink of what a lot of analysts were afraid was about to become a major military conflict.
And this really shows you the tightrope we're walking. On the one hand, yeah, we've got a temporary break. A ceasefire is in place. But on the other hand, the actual threat, it hasn't gone anywhere. You can just feel the tension simmering right under the surface. And the risk that someone makes a mistake, that things escalate, it's still incredibly high.
Now, whenever you have this much instability on the world stage, it hits the economy, and it hits it fast. We're already seeing these ripples of uncertainty spreading right across the global markets.
And it didn't take long either. I mean, almost immediately the markets started to react. You know how it is. Investors absolutely hate uncertainty. And right now, well, uncertainty is pretty much the only thing we have a lot of.
And here's maybe the clearest signal of just how anxious everyone is. Oil prices are climbing. We're talking about a significant jump in just a matter of hours. And look, this isn't some abstract number on a screen, right? This directly hits the price of gas for your car, the cost to ship basically everything, and eventually what you pay for stuff at the store.
So that's the key thing to remember. This isn't just data. It's a real measurable sign that the whole world is kind of holding its breath, just waiting to see what happens as all this uncertainty keeps growing. And, this kind of pressure isn't just an external thing. The shockwaves are being felt right here at home, too. So let's pivot and look at how this is putting a ton of pressure on our own politics. So while all of this is happening on the global stage, you have to ask a really critical question here at home. How is this constant feeling of crisis going to affect future elections? All of a sudden, it's this huge, unpredictable factor that no political strategist can afford to ignore, pushing national security right to the top of the list of what voters are thinking about. And just when you think that's enough to deal with, there's another layer to this, another really unsettling piece of the puzzle, a separate crisis that's happening at the same time and has left the whole nation in shock.
Yeah, totally separate from everything happening overseas, a devastating and unexpected tragic event has occurred, leaving a part of the country reeling. This is just piling on to the national sense of anxiety, right? It's stretching emergency resources to the breaking point and adding this deep layer of grief to what was already a super tense time.
Okay, so you've got all these different pieces floating around. How do they all fit together? Let's try to pull it all into one picture, this perfect storm, to really get why the entire world is watching so closely right now.
This is it. This is why everyone is on high alert. You've got the fragile ceasefire where tensions are still sky high. You've got rising oil prices making the markets nervous. You have this big question mark hanging over future U.S. elections. And then on top of all of that, the nation is dealing with a terrible tragedy. The point is, these aren't separate things happening in a vacuum. They are all connected, feeding into each other and making the whole situation worse.
And that really brings us to the single most important takeaway here. The reason everyone is glued to this story, it's simple, really. It's because this situation could change at any moment. Whatever stability we think we have right now, it's incredibly fragile. It's temporary. And it could all just shatter in an instant, with no warning.
So that leaves all of us with one final and pretty sobering question to think about. When things are this fragile, when we're right on the edge, what happens next?